Good morning. Today we are going to talk a little bit about something I saw as I was watching one of my TikTok videos, or one of the TikToks videos I watch pretty much every day. And there was a comment from this guy who asked the question, how can I get good with computers, or in general with like IT? And that's basically what I'm going to talk to you guys about. So that is an extreme, I thought it was a good question, and I've had that question asked to me many times, like, Fredrik, how did you learn all the things you know about computers and all that stuff, and to other people as well. And the way that I would like, the reason why I want to answer this is because it's a very open question that a lot of people who are not especially tech savvy are asking. So the first thing we need to kind of define when we talk about what it means to be good with computers, because it's very much like asking it's like asking a sports fan, like a professional athlete, why are you so good at sports? And the thing is that the athlete most likely is good at one small portion of all the things that is possible to be good in sports. The same thing with doctors or teachers. I mean, you're never a master of everything, and you kind of get to be a specialist in one field of an extremely large concept, because IT is massive. I mean, I am not going to lie to you. If you ask me about hardware or like graphics cards, or if you want me to fix your printer, for God's sakes, I will be very much lost. Like it's not my field of expertise, and that goes for everybody. Now, in the context of this comment was, I was watching a very nice tech talk by one of the developers at Google, talking about how you can deploy a Go application basically to a cluster of computers. And so the question was on something as intricate as that, and I thought that was very interesting. How I kind of thought to myself, how has someone who isn't good with computers found this video and started watching this is like a tech talk about Kubernetes and Docker and Go. This is not for a person. This is not something a person who does not know anything about computers would find, at least not by chance. And so it made me a little bit curious about this guy. So basically, this is kind of going out to him in essence. And my answer to you is very simple. The first and foremost thing you need to do in order to get good with computers is to have a personal ambition. You need to realize that being good with computers in general is going to be very time consuming, or it's going to take a lot of time. I'm not saying that you need to start when you're like 12 and you need to breathe binary code or anything like that. That's not how it works. I mean, I didn't start being really interested in computers until I was a teenager. I'm just saying that it's going to take a lot of time, and depending on what you mean when you say, hey, I want to be good at computers, it may vary. So let's start with the absolute basics. The first and most important thing you can learn in the world of computers is how to effectively find information through Google, most likely. If you don't have the skill, if you don't know how the search engines work, or how to find stuff on the internet in an effective manner, you should start there. That's actually the most important part of being a programmer. You need to be able to find information on the internet. That's like lesson one. And to give you a small hint at how to do that, if you are the sort of person, if you understand that broader terms and specificity in your search queries, that how that affects your accuracy in the search, then you are already as good as you're going to get. Like if you know that if you want to find a specific like a cat picture or something like that of a specific cat, searching for everything that you can think of that describes that cat is not going to give you much in terms of results, unless your query is really, if you're really good at expressing yourself. I see a lot, especially people who are like seniors and like retirees and so forth, who do like extremely specific queries, like where they basically just put in whatever they're thinking in their head and then they don't get any results. That's step one, basically. You need to know how to search for things. The second thing is that you need to, as I was saying, you have to have a personal ambition. You need to realize that there is too much going on in the world of IT for you to do that. You have to start somewhere. So what I like to say is that you need to get a personal project. When I first started, the first thing I wanted to learn was how to download computer games. This is like way back when, before the whole BitTorrent and all the political jargon, like issues that we have today actually came to be. But that's what I wanted. So the motivation for me was that the value the computer could bring me was that I could, install my own games and play my own computer games and stuff like that. So that's my ambition. And my ambition was to learn how the file system worked and how I could install things on my computer and uninstall them. So that was, that's me at like age 13, I think. And that's how it started for me. And for you, it might be something very similar. Let's say that you wanted to be a programmer. What is your ambition? Why do you want to be a programmer? You have to have a desire to do something in order for it to make any sense. Because if you just say, I want to be good at computers, you're never going to be able to pick anything, because it's a massive, massive world because of possibilities. There's so much. And so you start by doing that. You start getting an interest in a single thing. You want to be able to do something. Let's say that a good place to start, if you want to be someone like the guy who was on that Tech Talk, if you want to be like him, the first step is for you to be a computer programmer. You want to be a programmer. That's the absolute first thing. In order to get as good as a Google engineer, like something like that, it's very, very effective for you to start like learning how to program. So for you, I would say start by having the ambition to make your own web page. That's number one. And if you now you have a clear goal. Now you know what you want. Okay, so you want to make a web page. That's great. And then we fall back to step number one. Do you know how to search for that? Do you know how to find the tutorials and the resources on the web that you need in order to learn how to do that? And then you just start. Those are the only two steps. That's it. And when you know, because in the video the guy was talking about everything from SHAs to HTTP, the protocols, and all that stuff. All that information he was talking about, that stuff you learn either from directly studying a single thing or making something or from being it's adjacent knowledge. It's something that you will learn from just working in the field. Like when I was watching the video, I understood, I'm not going to say 100% of everything he said, but almost all of what he was saying I understood. And I've never worked with Kubernetes or Docker or anything like that. Or I have, of course, but not at the scale, like at the level that he has. But you don't, see, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to, because you're going to pick up, it becomes this common language that IT people can share between each other, because there are a lot of a lot of crossover between different things. So just by learning one thing, things are going to make more sense to you, and this is a good thing and a bad thing. Usually what you will find is that in programming, it is impossible for you to learn just one thing. For the most part, you're going to say, hey, I want to learn how to make a web page. And for that, you're going to need to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, server-side language, and if you want to get fancy, databases, which of course brings the question, okay, how do you set up all of that stuff? You see, everything is tied together, like it's strings in a web basically. And that's usually, you might think that sometimes it's a very difficult thing, like it's very tedious that, you can't just get to learn one thing and then that's the end of it, because you have to learn all the things around it. But it's the best way, I will tell you right now, it's the best way to get good with computers. So that's my tip to you. Start by learning how to use Google, and then secondly, get a personal ambition. Get a personal something that is important to you for you to learn. Get curious about something. If this time it was Kubernetes, maybe you should take a look at Kubernetes, learn the things around it, and then go from there. And when you learn one thing, you get another personal ambition, and you learn that thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and without you realizing, all of a sudden, hey, here you are making your own videos about, programming or computers, basically. So hopefully this was useful to you.